This is a concept that has been thrown around in the New Age community for as long as I can remember. And I even used some meme somewhere showing a frequency of the lower vibrations of fear and the higher vibrations of love. I only used it once and then it just never sat well with me because it didn't feel like it was true. There was nothing it was based upon. It always felt like this fortune cookie style belief system that just was designed to feel good. And I heard it recently and it kind of set me off in a way because I heard it from an individual, a YouTuber that I've gotten really good information from in the recent months. And when he said it, first off, the whole video was kind of like hit me a certain way because it was based upon this idea that the next year, here we go again with this next year shit. The next year, we're going to move into the fourth dimension, or we're already in the fourth dimensional energies. And next year is going to be like the pinnacle of it. And things are going to shift. You're going to see. And I've been talking about that selling point, that style of interaction with people for some time now, and how that's like the basis of the New Age community. And when I heard it come out of this individual, who I wouldn't necessarily connect to the New Age community, but definitely that perspective and that approach was at the core of a New Age mindset. But to stay on topic, this idea of fear versus love set even harder in my realization that when I heard him say that, it's not true. It's just simply not true. It's just something that we say to ourselves to help us cope with extreme emotions or extreme experiences, but more specifically, transitioning from one experience to another, one space or one, for lack of a better term, vibration. Because it's not to say that vibrations and frequencies don't exist, only that we need to hold ourselves accountable for going into the depths of what these frequencies and vibrations actually mean and stand for. First off, the idea of love that gets thrown around in the New Age community is a very one-sided love. It's a very like this love and light sort of love. When from my perspective, the idea of love includes heavy darkness, and darkness not in a sense of doing bad things. Ooh, doing bad things, that's dark, because love goes with light. And hatred and fear goes with darkness. That not that bullshit. That's that New Age, happy, joy sort of, let's just be all one, love and light bullshit. I'm talking about that deep, dark love, that fire, that energy that exists in both the mother and the father, the feminine and the masculine type energies. But this love that is anchored in, more specifically, the feminine energy, the darkness. When you go on an ayahuasca trip, especially the first time, when you enter that space, this medicine, you are deeply connected to, for lack of a better terminology, generations upon generations of the feminine darkness energy, the grandmother energy, the mother energy, the birthing energy, the coming from darkness into light, the balance, the cooperation, the compatibility between light and dark. The definition of love that exists within the compatibility of lightness and darkness, that's a true love. That's where the definition of love is truly rooted. It involves both the lightness and the darkness. And this New Age bullshit of love is just light is nonsense. And ultimately, it's used as a weapon to control people in that love and light, floaty, uprooted space. When you're in that everything is love and everything is light, you're vulnerable. There's no fire there. There's no power there. There's no balance. There's no compatibility there. And people pawn off this perspective like speaking on darkness, addressing darkness in comparison to light means you're somehow unbalanced, which is bullshit. Because the ones that are truly imbalanced are the ones who are solely vested in this idea of love and light. They're the ones who are completely devoid of the void of darkness. They're missing the roots of where lightness comes from. It's like celebrating the flowers, the petals of a flower, and demonizing the stem, demonizing the roots, saying, ooh, that's dirty where those roots are. Ew, you can't have the flower without the fucking roots. So this happy, joy, feel-good sort of trope known as love that gets thrown out there, like I've said in previous videos, is more dangerous, is more of a weapon against anti-ignorance, against expansion, than it is any help towards that. That idea, that love, that blind love that is completely imbalanced, is good only up to a point. Like I said, as a living example of going through that space, through that new age, not everything that I've learned, that I was exposed to in the new age community, in that new age mindset, not everything there was bad. Not everything there was used as a weapon against me. In fact, quite the opposite. Most of it, if not all of it, was a benefit. The only thing is, it's a benefit up to a point. Like elementary school, which this is a bad example, but it's a good example to see where I'm coming from. If elementary school was based outside of conformity and all the other mind controls, if elementary school was like for the people and teaching people baseline shit that children should know to be balanced as people, elementary school is just one level of understanding. It's one level of intelligence. It's good up to a certain point as long as you are of an elementary mind. But once you get to that space of growing out of that elementary mind, if you stay in elementary school, you will be working against yourself. It will be working toward your ignorance instead of your expansion. Before elementary school, you were ignorant of elementary information. So it was of a benefit to you. But just as you were ignorant to elementary information, once you become aware of that elementary information, once it becomes a part of who you are, and you know without knowing, once you are of that space, it's time to move on. You have to move into the next level of intelligence, interaction, expansion, awareness of yourself. It goes beyond the elementary interaction of this reality, of yourself. But in reference to frequency and vibration, staying within that elementary new age vibration is very safe for people. It's very comfortable there. In fact, since it's promoted by the system and there's entire communities based upon it, people have made a livelihood out of it, especially if you can make money in that space. And just like the medical industry needs you to be sick to continue to make money off of you, the new agers need to maintain your new age sickness. Your inability to move out of that space needs to be maintained. Are all of these people doing this knowingly? No, of course not. But like I said before, whether they are aware of it or not, the damage is being done. It's the same effect. And like I said, since money is involved, this somehow gives people a pass to be doing this. And they rationalize this interaction with people, with themselves. Oh, well, I'm just doing this because, I have to make a living. At least it's of a positive thing. At least my heart is centered in love and light. So it's an okay thing. On an extreme level, it's chemotherapy for spiritual cancers. It's not dealing with the cancer. In fact, at a point, it's destroying the cells in your body. If you stay in elementary school when you have the capacity to move beyond that, imagine yourself going into the next level, beyond high school, beyond the university, and missing out, staying in that elementary energy. Your cells will die. You'll miss your intellectual cells will die. They're shriveling because they're not being used. This is how it's used as a weapon against you. This is why the apathy of dealing with the entire system is a very big problem. Because not becoming aware of how these systems are connected within the overall system steals the time of these individuals, of the masses and dismisses and demonizes one of the main things that we all need to do if we're trying to address this entire system. If people who are really meaning to do some good in the world, while these demons are just killing and murdering and developing systems that affect your future generations, if people are trying to address that system, then these other systems that are working against that without our knowledge, under the guise of being for us, those systems need to be addressed. So this love and light system needs to be seen as just as damaging, if not more. I say more because most of the time people who have transitioned from the mainstream university intellect from a space of no longer, or at least seeking out to no longer work against themselves. For the people who are moving from that space, who are seeing how much of their world is their responsibility, when people get to that space, when they grow into that space, the new age is this sphere of interaction that kind of sucks people in because they're looking for somewhere to go. Some people go into religions. They realize that, and then they go deeply into a religion. This is why you see a lot of flat earthers that come into the flat earth information, specifically through Christian flat earthers, and then just dive back into the Bible and Christianity again. Another way to experience that people is they go through the new age community. Point being that the people who are ready to go into that space are of a higher capacity of engagement, intellect, and to take those people who have the potential to have more influence, to have more of an ability to affect and speak on larger issues, to take those individuals in comparison to people who are just completely NPC'd, they're completely mind controlled, they're just numbed out, to take the people who are no longer in that space and dump them into a further mind control, into another type of more complex mind control, is more dangerous, because it's not only sucking them into another space away from their maximum potential, but it's taking them away from their ability to interact energetically and beyond with the people around them. Like an antenna. See it as like putting like a lead cover around an elementary antenna that sends out signals, in comparison to putting some kind of lead cover around a high school antenna or a university antenna, slowing down those frequencies, slowing down those signals. People in that higher intellect, higher frequency, have more of an ability to affect larger groups of people, can interpret a whole bunch of different things, in comparison to somebody who still hasn't gone through that process, who's still in the numbed out automaton sort of mentality, energy. They still have work to do before they can turn into a more complex antenna. So this is why I say the new age community is very dangerous. And this idea that fear is the opposite of love, and it's that simple, is bullshit, and is one of those weapons within that dangerous community. Like I said before, is everything in the new age community bad and dangerous and a weapon? No, of course not. It's a transitional space, but it becomes toxic once you set your anchors, once you make a business out of that transitional space. There's nowhere to set your anchors. This is why you need these tropes like fear is the opposite of love, so we need to just stay in love and light. This is why you need the unanchored, out of balance connection to aliens and extraterrestrials and these star systems that are out there, and this broken hope that the system is going to fix itself because there's good people in the system. These are all these loose anchors that are amplified by the people in that space. This is why you constantly have to fill your gas tank with all of these spiritual teachers that are out there. Because when you are of a high or a university level capacity and still sitting in elementary school in those little tiny desks. You're burning energy. You're burning fuel constantly. You're a big ass diesel truck using play school gas. Will it get you to the corner store? Will it get you down the street? Yeah. But you're going to use a whole full ass gas tank full of play school gas just to get to the grocery store. This is what all these Teal Swan and Spirit Science videos and Infinite Waters, Ralph Smart, this is what all their energy is focused on. They are the play school gas stations for the new age mindset. And they will continue to do this forever. There will be a constant rotation of Ralph Smarts and Teal Swans who are feeding information to broken people that want to stay in this elementary school. People like Russell Brand is just a mainstream version of that play school gas station. Instead of the new age community and love and light and aliens and all those connections through the new age, he comes from the 12-step program belief system. He deals with the broken people from the mainstream community dealing with addiction and that 12-step program religion in a sense. And it's very close connection to Christianity, just as the New Age community has that very close relationship to the religion of Christianity. Those same anchors, it's from the same family. That gas in those gas stations, the gas station might be different. It might be a little Exxon and Shell and BP, but it's the same gas. It comes from the same pipeline. So this idea that fear is the opposite of love is easy to sell to people because it's easy to see that the mainstream mindset sells fear on a regular basis. Fear is a big part of the mainstream, old school, sort of your old self version of energy, which implies that the new version of yourself is love. So now that you're no longer in fear, welcome to the club, guys. Here we are. Let's do this together in love as one people. We're all human. Let's not be like those people. It's just like the Trump shit. Oh, you're not talking about love? You must be in fear or hatred. You're not talking about democracy? You must be a Republican. You must be like Trump. It's that same mentality. It's a high school university system version of the mainstream blue and red shit. Duality on a more simplistic version of interaction. This is for a more complex version of individual who still isn't thinking for themselves. They're not in a space of critical thought, but they are aware of what critical thought is. Unlike the NPC automatons who don't even know what critical thought is. They're not allowing themselves to get into a space of them being able to critically think because the system thinks for them. They're not allowing themselves to think. They're not in a space of being comfortable. That fear that is pumped out by the system keeps people from thinking for themselves. So thinking has become outlawed unconsciously in these people. Then people open the door up to thinking, and then you have more traps, more snake oil salesmen at the door. When you open that door, come on in. Welcome to the new age. You're new. Remember the old person you were? All that fear and self-destruction and addiction? Hey, you're not that anymore. You're with us. We're the love crew. We got wonderful people here. They're all over the television. We even have channelers who are speaking at the United Nations. You ever listen to Cryon? Yeah, things are changing. He spoke at the United Nations. Did you hear that we started a space force? That's right. We're going to get ready to interact with these extraterrestrial brethren. Are you from the Andromeda Galaxy? Are you a Syrian? You have a lot of Venusian energy. I'm sensing a lot of Orion or Arcturian influence in your chakra field. I know some people that you should connect with. I think they're your soul family. Boom, you're in another fucking mind control, another trap. You went from Democrats and Republicans to Arcturians and Andromedans. Anyway, the main point that I wanted to make with this video that was really quick, but I had to go off on that extreme tangent to set the foundation, to set the baseline for what this is. The fear and love frequency bullshit is not true, because there's something that presupposes fear in relation to the idea of love, and that's ignorance. You can only be in a space of fear from this perspective if you are ignorant of who and what you are. Ignorance sets the tone for fear. Ignorance sets the foundation for fear to take a root. Ignorance sets the foundation for an artificial love to take a root. So the opposite of actual organic love is not fear. It's ignorance. Because if you're ignorant of what love truly is, then that is more damaging and more dangerous than anything else. Because now you no longer have only fear to fear or work against you, be weaponized against you, but you also have love that works against you. To anchor yourself in that belief system is just another tool. It's just another thing to hold on to get you to another space, to whatever it is, to fill in the blank of an empty space that has been sitting on your coloring book for so long. Oh, that does make sense. Yeah, because the controllers use fear against us, so it makes sense that the opposite of love is fear. Why didn't I think of this before? Oh, I love you people. You're like my star family. They're like, yeah, we are. We got you, bitch. Now buy this fucking 12-step chakra program for the next 12 weeks for $3,000. No, $3,333. Yeah. And if you want to get into the 15-week program, you can get into our 15-week chakra expanding, third eye opening, free of charge program for $5,555.55. Yeah, because numbers and energy and stuff, right? Yoga, keywords like dogs. Like dogs, you say, you want to go outside? And they hear outside? Oh, they start wagging their tail and shit. Say some shit like yoga. Some people start wagging their tail. Chakras? Ooh. Treat? You want a treat? Treat? Third eye? Third eye? You want to open your third eye? Yeah. I want to open my third eye. Let's go outside for a run. I want to go see my friends. Oh, shit. Oh, man. Anyway. Yeah. The opposite of love is not fear. The whole idea is bullshit. If you want to get into any kind of question of what the opposite of love is, you want to entertain something in reference to the opposite of what love is, the first step is not fear. That's the theater version of what the opposite of love is. The interactive version of what the opposite of love is based in ignorance. Ignorance sets the tone for fear. Ignorance sets the tone for an artificial love. Ignorance gets in the way of you moving towards a deeper love of yourself. Outside of this realm, ignorance gets in the way of that space more than fear. Fear is a subcategory of ignorance. So next time somebody says some shit like, fear is the opposite of love, people. Brothers and sisters, fear is the opposite. If you're in a space of fear, you won't be able to move into the next dimension. You'll be stuck in the 3D while your brothers and sisters who are letting go of fear are moving into the 4th and in the 5th dimension. You'll be left behind, brothers and sisters, if you keep vibrating in fear. Next time somebody says some shit like that, let them know Send them this link. Share this video with their asses. Fuck it. In fact, share it with them now. Because I would love to see those people get into these comment sections and say some shit about how this is not true. I want to see that shit. Yeah. Anyway, beyond that, before I close this out, I want to thank the people who have been putting in donations to the GoFundMe. The link is in the description again. For those who don't know, I've set up this GoFundMe account to allow people the opportunity to donate money towards sponsoring tees in the disc golf tournaments that I play in. And in these tees, I'm going to put the image of this channel on there, which will be a hard copy version of communicating that this channel exists outside of the internet with people in the streets. I'm playing tournaments in Arizona, California. I'm probably going to go up to Oregon too. But in the future, it'll be more and more around the country. These are disc golf tournaments. There's a whole video. I'll link the video in the description too. But yeah, shout out to the people who've already helped in reference to that. Those donations have already gone to the first few tournaments of 2022. So there's one in New Year's that required a $100 tee sponsorship. Got me in early, made sure I got into the tournament, and the Leanoinfinity image is going to be displayed on one of these tee signs out there. So shout out to you guys. I really appreciate that support. It helps out a lot, especially with this channel being censored and swept into a corner, a dusty corner by YouTube and all the Google algorithms out there. This is just another way to step out and interact with a demographic of people that might not be exposed to this information, but maybe they're interested. Maybe not. Doesn't matter. It's there. It exists. It's a possibility, and it's a really good idea. And it's already shaking some things up. There's already people who are like asking me like about the channel and what's going on. So it's a good thing. So yeah, thanks again.